oh, people are nodding, people are learning from this, people are smiling. Like, this is something, this could be a thing. And then a couple events later, the person who we actually had come in and speak, she looked at me and she's like, you did this. So I think it took somebody else to kind of say, look at what you've created. Look at these people talking to each other. Look at how they're learning from each other. This is, I don't think she called it a movement. I like that though. That's great. But a community, absolutely.
From starting businesses to leading nonprofits, women are breaking barriers and rewriting the rules of entrepreneurship, often in systems that weren't built for them.
I'm Shannon Sims. This is Rising Forward, stories of social entrepreneurs building businesses that solve real community problems and showing how one person's commitment can move Wisconsin forward.
Today, Stephanie Melnick, the founder of She Stands Tall, joins me now.
All right, so Stephanie, I was looking at something and I thought this was hilarious. You go to New Orleans and you sit on a bribery and fraud trial for fun? Like,
that happened, yeah.
Yes.
It happened.
It happened? It's fine. When did you know you were a law nerd, first of all? And then second of all, when did this passion kind of translate into wanting to help women entrepreneurs?
Okay, so my dad's a lawyer, so I think I always had a tiny bit of law nerd in me, but probably the full-blown nerdiness of it didn't come till after I went to law school. And then what you see is just like a lot of this stuff is really interesting in its own way, and it has an impact. Law has an impact on all different parts of life and all different parts of policy and things that are really important, you know, in what we learn. And so I think from that, you realize, wow, the law has a good side. We can do a lot of good things using the law and using the power of the law and using the power of what we know. And so I think that kind of all kind of coalesced together to decide, well, what can we do with this that actually advances people, creates community, and, you know, advances entrepreneurs.
And a fraud trial can give you relaxing, can give you R&R too.
Okay, so that was different. The story is, I was in New Orleans with my husband. He had like a conference and I said I'd go along because I think New Orleans is an amazing city and I love it there, and the food and the people and everything. And so Ray Nagin, if you remember, he was the mayor of New Orleans, and he did a lot of stuff related to hurricane. A lot of not so great stuff. And so coincidentally, the trial was going on when I was there. And so I thought, well, I gotta go check it out. And so, yes, I did spend several hours sitting in on this trial, and it was fascinating. But my husband was like, "You did what? You were where?" Yeah, it was great. He's a lawyer too, so he kind of understood, and yet he also kind of thought I was maybe I was taking the nerd thing a little far, but it was great. Yeah,
Context is so important.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, I get it.
So it makes more sense now.
Yes, it makes more sense.
Yeah, so it's like not every vacation do I go on, do I plan it around some kind of high profile trial. That just was kind of worked out and I had to see it.
I get it. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about She Stands Tall. 2017, you create this, and I just want to know, when did you start to realize that, female entrepreneurs need legal advice, but they really need community?
The way we started She Stands Tall, I wish it was so intentional, and I wish I had this like brilliant idea that we were going to create a community. But it started out as, I think what people are doing in this community is super interesting. I think other entrepreneurs would be interested to learn about it and could learn from it. And so, you know, we should gather people together and we should have wine and it will be fun. And so that's really how it started. We partnered with a wine bar. We got women together. They told us about what they do, and it was really fun. And then after you do those for a couple of times, it becomes clear, oh, a lot of the same people are coming every time. Okay, they're reaching out to each other between events. Oh, so we really are building a community. Oh, so they need a community. And so it kind of all sort of coalesced around that. And we knew from our clients too that this was really what was missing, is this kind of peer-to-peer level of support. You know, I can support in my way and accountants support in their way and marketing people.
If you're just joining me now, this is Rising Forward, conversations with entrepreneurs behind businesses built to do good and do well. Today, I'm talking to Stephanie Melnick. Stephanie has been practicing law in Milwaukee for over 30 years. But 9 years ago, she realized her clients needed more than legal advice. They needed each other. She Stands Tall is the community she created for women entrepreneurs.
Stephanie, you were saying that, you wish that this would have been some aha moment for you. Let's start this movement. And really, it is a movement. I want you to know it really is a movement. But take me back to the first time, that first room. Women are coming in the room to hear other women tell their stories. And you go, what's happening in this space?
I think so. We partnered with a wine bar, the Ruby Tap, that still exists here in Milwaukee, and we had the two sisters that own the bar. They kicked it off for us, and I think part of the way they were talking, and I look around the room and thought, people are nodding, people are learning from this, people are smiling. Like this is something. This could be a thing. And then a couple events later, the person who we actually had come in and speak, Cindy Schaefer, she's a real estate developer. She looked at me and she's like, you did this. And I think until somebody else sometimes has to say that stuff to you, until you're like, oh, I suppose we did. I suppose this is a community. But until somebody kind of like holds the mirror up in front of you, sometimes you didn't know. So I think it took somebody else to kind of say, look at what you've created. Look at these people talking to each other. Look at how they're learning from each other. This is, I don't think she called it a movement. That, I like that though. That's great. But a community, absolutely.
I love what you said. You said, I love to be, or rather I should say, you love having this backstage pass to your clients, right? What they do through your law practice. You're doing the contracts, the disputes, the trademark battles. But through She Stands Tall, I wonder, what are you seeing different? What are you learning about female entrepreneurs that are building our community that you would not have seen from the practice alone?
I think the people we've talked to who are in the different events have been really honest, I think, to say, this is great. I love a lot of what I do, but it's hard. It's tough. And this is why I need the community. It's hard to get the financing. It's hard to get the customers. Managing a team is hard. There's a lot of challenges to doing it. And so I think that's kind of, in the law practice, they'll tell you about the hard stuff in order for you to help them solve that problem, but you're not really looking at the whole of it. And I think that's more of what you get, a lot of vulnerability. And when you bring entrepreneurs together and you build this community and they know each other from events and from partnering together, I think they're willing to be vulnerable in a way that I don't think I necessarily expected. And I also, there's part of me that thinks that's a unique thing to women entrepreneurs. I'm not sure that when I've seen, a room of men who, even if they're all owning businesses, I don't think they're necessarily so free to admit the hard stuff. And I think the women are, and I think that really helps us. And I think that advances the movement in the community because they're willing to share, okay, here's what was really hard. Here's what I did to fix it, to work on it. Here's how I'm still working on it. Don't do the thing. Don't do that. Do this instead. And again, I don't know if the guys are doing it.
And so do you feel like this really is a safe space for women entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they're willing to support each other. I don't, even for people who are in the same industry, that like feeling of competition, they compete, but they'll also say, hey, I have this client, I can't help them because of whatever reason, I've sent them to you. They're very willing to still, even if they are in direct competition, to still cooperate and learn and help. I haven't seen that competitive to the point of being unpleasant or to the point of being unhelpful or sabotage. I haven't seen any of that.
So the women in the room are vulnerable, but what is the conversation in Wisconsin when it comes to the barriers that women entrepreneurs are facing that isn't being talked about enough?
I think one is money. It's always, unfortunately, there's just the funding is tough, and the funding for women, especially women of color, it's hard.
Is it specifically, I didn't mean to interrupt, but is
No.
it specifically the funding for women of color because they don't know where the money is and how to access it? Or is it that they're being discriminated?
I think one is they don't know where the money is and how to access it. I think it's they don't have the connection built in order to access it in a direct way. I think they don't know what they need to do to prepare their businesses to be ready to ask for it without help, which I hope this community is helping. But, you have to be ready to go to a bank for a loan. You have to be ready to go to a VC. You have to have your ducks in a row. And I think they're not. And do I think there's some discrimination in there too? Yeah, I do. Is that number one? I don't know if I'm qualified to say, but I think it's in there. Yeah.
And so is it safe to say that She Stands Tall works to make sure that there are more women of color, more folks LGBTQ plus who are able to get the information and or feel community to get their businesses out there and ready?
So one thing we do is when we have speakers, we are very intentional about who we ask to speak at our events. For example, for Women's Entrepreneurship Week last year, over half of our speakers were women of color or LGBTQ. So we work really hard to make sure we have a diverse group of speakers. Also, I think by coming to these events, they understand that, I have to get ready to go to a bank or a VC. I have to pull my act together. And they have other people there who are telling them what the steps are, both people who work in banks and other business owners who've done it, so they can kind of learn from people who've done it already, or some people who are handing out the checks.
Let's share with our audience what all She Stand Tall does.
Oh. So She Stands Tall, we do a lot of events. We have events where it's more of a peer-to-peer kind of meeting between business owners to talk about specific issues and learn from each other in a more kind of direct educational way. And then we also run Women's Entrepreneurship Week, which is an annual event in May where we have people together for several days to really learn from each other. So there's networking, there's education.
The value of spaces to convene women and to share knowledge and to share information and build power.
Good morning! For a lot of women entrepreneurs in Milwaukee, Women's Entrepreneurship Week is how they first hear about She Stands Tall. It's a 4-day conference every May, and Stephanie didn't start it. She took it over in 2023, and then she made it her own. She and her team of volunteers are intentional in choosing the panel topics, workshops, and speakers, many who are women of color or LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs.
You just have to keep trying things. Crazy out-of-the-box things that make you completely uncomfortable.
Navigating spaces with people who are different and who think differently, and it's impossible to go wrong.
I just felt seen in a way that I think empowered me.
And did you find that to be the most rewarding of a number of the offerings you offer to female entrepreneurs?
I think it's the one people talk about the most because it's like several days. We hear stories of, I met this person at Women's Entrepreneurship Week, and then we partnered on this event together. Or I met a banker at Women's Entrepreneurship Week, and then they gave me the financing to remodel my business or to move to the next location or whatever it is. So we hear a lot of the stories that relate to that event because it's concentrated, you get people all in a space together and it's concentrated. So I think, yeah, there is something special about it.
And then you do a deeper dive with She Shines Mastermind. Can you share a little of how that fosters women entrepreneurs getting ready to get into the marketplace?
That's the peer-to-peer part of it. So we bring in people who've been in business for at least a couple of years. We're going to have quarterly events where we can bring people together, they can learn from each other. And that's really where I really need an accountant, who do you know? Or whatever it is. That's really where it's much more like concrete assistance. I need help with this thing now. Or I have this challenge with somebody on my team. What do I do? People got a lot of value about talking to people who are also doing all the things and need help doing it. I'm
thinking about, okay, She Stands Tall. You have the monthly meetups, right? You have the Women's Entrepreneurial Week. You have the directory. You are building infrastructure. What is still missing, though, do you think, in Milwaukee's entrepreneurial ecosystem when it comes to women-led ventures, helping them?
I know I've said it before, but money. There's just not enough financing, access to financing. There just isn't. I'm not even sure it's just in Milwaukee, to be fair. I think it's probably a nationwide problem, but there's really just not enough. I also think, we're trying to build this community, but not, it could be bigger, it could be more. So I think people could still get connected in one way or the other. Because what I have learned is that those connections and those peer-to-peer connections are really important.
Let's talk about impact. Since 2017, She Stands Tall has been here. What are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of all the connections that people have made. The people who come up to me at different events to say, I met my accountant at She Stands Tall, or I met this other business owner and we've done these 3 different partnerships together and it's been really great. People send me emails saying, I met my banker and then I got this loan. So I think that's kind of what it is, that we built a real community. We built people who really want to learn from each other and partner together and are actually doing so. And I think that's really what kind of keeps us going.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it around and create one thing in this ecosystem of entrepreneurship here in the state, what would make the biggest difference for women-led ventures?
Money. I mean,
Stephanie says, where does the money reside? And I want it.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's what people need, the support and they need the information. And that is a huge number 2, how to do all these things and who to ask. And I mean, I am a lawyer. I'm surprised all the time by the things that people don't know they have to do, all the way from things involving taxes to things involving their team. I mean, it's surprising sometimes to me the things people don't know or understand. So absolutely, access to information and help and assistance, a number 2 for sure. But what really helps people run businesses and open businesses and make their dreams come true, it's money. It just is. Access to capital, access to investment. We can't sugarcoat it, I guess.
No, bring it.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it takes. I think communities like ours have helped people meet people who either are those funders or can say, okay, I went to this person, I went to this bank, they got me connected with here, or here are the 3 things you have to do to get your business ready, or you're never going to get a bank loan. These are the things you have to. So I think a lot of that is really helpful kind of in that path towards funding and really getting the money that you need in order to expand and take it to the next level. But without those kind of investors and funders, it's tough.
All right. She stands tall. It's a statement all by itself. But when women stand tall and stand together, finish this sentence, what becomes possible?
Growth, I think, for businesses, for families. What people sometimes I think forget is that women are really necessary to all these ecosystems. And what it's proven true is that when women build businesses and build communities, the communities are stronger, their families are stronger, their kids are stronger. So I really think it's really has a lasting impact on, and the diverse nature of it, like I said, we work really hard on that, but I think that's not something that we can underestimate. You have to look at how all of these different kinds of businesses and business owners can come together and what's important for all of them. And to build that kind of, that's the gold there.
Stephanie, thanks for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
Yay.
Thank you.